Hello YouTube, I'm back again today, this time with a deck profile on Geminis. Now this isn't hero beat with aliases thrown in and claiming to be Gemini heroes or anything. These are all but 5 monsters are Gemini monsters, which means they're monsters that don't get their effect unless you give up your normal summon that turn to activate them. Now, I'm not going to go into details about how how their mechanics work as far as activating their effects go, but I'll put a link in the description that can explain it a lot better than I can. But let's get on with the deck profile. First off, we have 3 Blazewing Butterfly. This card, you contribute it to special summon 1 Gemini monster from your grave, except Blazewing Butterfly. And the monster you special summoned gets its effect. So this card is really useful if, as we go on, you'll see that this card is infinitely helpful in this deck and with the engine. Next we have 3. I can't. I knew how to pronounce this name, but I just looked at it and I just drew a blank. Evocator Shivalter. I can't pronounce it right now. I'm pretty tired. But what this card does is you can send 1 equipped card. That's one equipped card on your one equipped card you control to destroy 1 card your opponent controls. So with this deck, you'll be running, if you're wanting to use this engine, you'll want to run a few equipped cards. That way you can use this guy's effect and just start popping cards your opponent has. And one thing I really like about this guy's effect is that it's not a once per turn effect. You can use it as many times as you want per turn, and that becomes really handy when you're popping your opponent's back row or something. Next, we have 3 Crusader of Endymion. This guy, what this guy does is once per turn you can place 1 spell counter on a face-up card that you can place a spell counter on, and if you do this, this card gains 600 attack for that turn. You don't really use this guy's effect often. For this deck, I just use him as a 19 beater, but the card next to him you can use its effect on. Dark Valkyrie. Once per turn, 1 time only, you can place a spell counter on this card, and it gains 300 attack for each spell counter on it. You can also remove spell counters on it to destroy 1 monster. You can just remove 1 spell counter on it to destroy 1 monster on the field. So there are times when you have this guy, Crusader and Valkyrie on the field, and you can use Crusader's effect, put a spell counter on it, and Crusader will go to 25 and Dark Valkyrie will go to 21, and you can either pop with Dark Valkyrie or just keep it for its attack. Next we have Toon Magician. This card becomes a tuner when it gains its Gemini effect. So get this on the field and another Gemini monster sink into 8. That's just about what it'll do. Phoenix Gearfried. This card is one of the boss monsters Gemini has. It has 28 attack, and its effects are: you can send 1 spell. If your opponent activates a spell card, you can select 1 Gemini monster in your grave and special summon it. Also, you can send 1 equipped card you control to the graveyard to negate the activation of a spell or trap card that targets a monster on your field. So this guy, say your opponent plays Pot of Duality. You can then special summon a Gemini monster from your grave. And also, if you have an equipped card on the field and your opponent plays what's something that targets Soul Taker, that's pretty big. You can send that equipped card and negate Soul Taker, so he's pretty handy, but mostly I just use him as a 28 beat stick. And he's extremely easy to get out with Blazewing Butterfly, and another card we'll come up on in a bit. Next we have Woodland Archer. It can't be normal summoned or set, and it can only be special summoned by having 2 normal monsters in your grave. You contribute this card to add 1 Gemini monster from your deck to your hand. So he's the reinforcements of the army for Gemini monsters. And also, if you have multiples of him in your hand, and he's just doing nothing, special summon both and just overlay for a rank 3, or do some synchro summoning with him to make a 7. And one thing, for those who don't know a lot about Geminis, they're treated as normal monsters when they're on the field, before they're Gemini summoned, and in the graveyard. Which means Geminis you can use a lot of normal support, and if you look it up, normal monsters have a lot of good support cards. Next we have 1 Featherizer. If it's destroyed by battle, send 1 Gemini monster from your deck to your grave and draw a card. So you use this guy to put Gearfried in the grave, or another Gemini monster you need, and then you'll use Butterfly to get Gearfried out, and you're easily pulling out a level 8, 28 attack monster. Really easy. And outside of Chaos Dragons, there's not a lot of decks that can deal with a 28 monster. Next we have 2 Gemini Scorpions. When this card is normal summoned or special summoned, special summon 1 level 4 or lower Gemini monster from your hand. So this guy, normal summon him, special a Gemini monster, overlay for a rank 4. If you have Toon Magician and its effect is activated through some card, you can go into an 8, or just try to spam the field. Next, we have 3 Gemini Spark. Tribute 1 level 4 Gemini monster you control to target 1 card on the field, destroy it, and draw 1 card. So, I don't need to explain why this card is good. If you're curious, just look up any hero deck that's being played right now, and you'll see that this card is just really good. Next, 3 Supervise. Equipped only to a Gemini monster, and it gains its effect. And when this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can special summon 1 normal monster from your graveyard. Meaning that if you, for example, just normal summon Blazewing Butterfly, equipped it with Supervise, activate Butterfly's effect, say you have both Gearfrieds in the grave, you can then Butterfly's effect will special summon 1 Gearfried, and Supervise will special summon the other. And then you can overlay to an 8, or just sit on the fact that you just summoned 2 28 attack monsters. Next, unleash your power. All Gemini monsters on either side of the field gain their effects. During the end phase, set all monsters affected by this card effect. So with this card, you can, if you have these Crusader and Valkyrie on the field, you can use them to juice each other up. Use this card with Toon Magician and Gemini Scorpion to synchro into an 8. It opens up a lot of plays, but its drawback can be kind of bad if you let the drawback occur. Next, we have Darkhold and Heavy Storm. Those cards are very self-explanatory. Foolish Burial. Just put Gearfried into your grave. Because when you have a boss Gemini monster, it's pretty useless in your hand. Because you want to get into the grave. Future Fusion. To summon Super Alloy Beast. Raptorinus. And what that card does is all Gemini monsters on the field gain their effects. So with this guy on the field, you don't have to worry about Gemini summoning them again, which can really increase the speed of your deck. Because then you don't have to, then you can just use Blazewing Butterfly's effect just by the turn it's normal summoned without having to use Supervise. So that's all good. Monster Reborn is self-explanatory. Natural Tune, just in case. What it does is you can select one level 4 or lower monster you control. It's treated as a tuner. So if I have cards on the field, I can just use this on a Gemini that hasn't gained its effect and synchro. Because this deck can go into 8s pretty easy. 2 Symbols of Duty. Send a normal monster you control to the grave, and special summon 1 monster from either player's graveyard. So that's really nice if your opponent has a Blackluster Soldier. Just tribute a Gemini monster that hasn't been normal, that hasn't gained its effects, and take your opponent's stuff, or if you need to get stuff back. Torrential, just to clear stuff. Solemn Judgment, just negate stuff. Gemini Booster, equipped it to a Gemini monster, and it gains 700 attack. And when it's destroyed, select 1 Gemini monster, and it gains its effects. So you can use this during the damage step to boost your monsters up. To get over your opponent's monsters, use it as Mystical Space Typhoon bait. So your opponent activates Mystical Space Typhoon, you change Gemini Boost, equipped it, it gets destroyed, and you can have one of your monsters gain their effects. And you can also use it in conjunction with Evocator's effect. So that's the main deck. This is the first Gemini build I've ever made. As of right now, I have 3 other builds, so I have 4 builds. I've been spending a lot of time working with Geminis, playing around, because I think they're a really good archetype. So, and here are some other cards you can think about putting into your Gemini deck. Chthonian Emperor Dragon. It can attack twice in the same battle phase. That's really good, because if you can get 2 of these guys on the field with their effects, and your opponent has no monster on the field, you can pretty much OTK them. And Darkstorm Dragon, it has 27 attack, and once per turn you can send 1 face-up spell trap card to your grave, destroy all spell and trap cards on the field. So it's a heavy storm, and since you play equipped cards, you can just send one of the equipped cards and just heavy storm the field. And then we have Big Bang Shot. I read an article online that had a combo I really liked. You use Chthonian Evocator and Big Bang Shot. You equipped Big Bang Shot to your opponent's monster. You use Evocator's effect. Pop Big Bang Shot, destroy an opponent's card, and the monster equipped with Big Bang Shot will get removed. Hidden Arsenal, get equipped cards from your deck, and Regeki Break, just keep destroying cards your opponents control, and try to discard the boss monsters you're drawing to. So that's the deck. This is the first build, so I know it's not very good. But thank you very much and goodbye.